7 o'clock. I'd like to call the meeting to order. And can I get a motion for the minutes of April 18th, warrants 22, 22P, and EC?
4, should be 4A.
And then 4A.
I'll move all that.
I'll second it.
Any discussion?
Yes. There's a bill from Brown and Roberts for
600.
For the flags in the cemetery. And although it'd be nice to have all the flags we need, it's about $527 over the budget that we have for that.
Yeah, I was looking for that line item. Where is it in our budget?
Memorial Day expenses.
Yeah, at the very end.
I didn't see that.
I think, I know my wife had talked to Wayne about that, and I think they ordered like 3 years worth, but I couldn't get hold of Wayne to find out. I don't think that those were just for this year, but Marina thought that they ordered like 1,000 or whatever the number was to get a lot. I don't know what the number.
Oh, there it is. Yeah,
400.
It's going to actually be a year and a half, I believe.
So,
But they were also
that's a year and a half. How many flags you put out?
Or
300.
I guess it's around, I believe Mary told me around 250, somewhere in there, so.
And but these flags that they ordered were a lot bigger than the normal size
Usually
flags.
they have that just
Right.
yeah.
And it's quite a difference in expense on those.
And Mary looked at it on the internet, and that actually is the size for cemetery markings, 12 by 18.
Oh, is it?
But in the future, he did some research on the internet and found a spot that we can order them for half price.
Well, how long does it take to get them in? I mean, because
I
we
don't
can
know if you
always
can
send
reach-
these back.
I don't know. You'd have to ask Marty on that.
Yeah, where's Marty at this moment?
Yeah,
Exactly.
we can wake him up.
So, what's everybody's pleasure on this? I mean, we can always have them returned and look at, I mean, because it is 5 times over budget.
Don't they special order those for you down there though too?
Yeah, I think it's going to be hard to return them there. Just because I think we're probably the only people that order that many from them. I mean, it's a pretty big order.
Yeah, I would have thought Wayne would understand that he had a budget to work with, and that coming in over $500 over budget might be a problem.
Yeah.
But he's with Marty, I guess. I don't know where he is.
So what's the pleasure?
It might be too. I would stay with the original motion to pay the warrant, but then I think another discussion might be had about seeing if there's time to return those flags for a refund and get something less expensive. But I think that we should pay Brown Roberts' bill in the meantime. I mean, certainly they'll reimburse if they're willing to take the refund.
Any more discussion? All those in favor?
Aye. And then I would move separately that we ask, who should be Wayne? Is Wayne officially in charge of this?
Wayne ordered them.
He's the one who ordered them.
See if he can take them back and get some cheaper.
Okay, I'll second that.
Discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Anybody would like to get a hold of Wayne to talk to him about that, or?
I will if you want.
That'd be good. All right, moving on. Facilities use agreement with the community center trustees. Is there any trustees here?
Bill did a very good job of adding what the town required. Any questions? Just one correction. West Street. The state has it listed as 156, however, the correct address is 150.
So you're,
That thanks to Doug and Pam's coordination, we got that straightened out.
so you're happy with this? You can work with this?
Fine. We had a meeting Monday night, and I'm sure that there will be no disagreement whatsoever.
Would you like us to wait to adopt this until you
No,
talk about it and adopt this?
So,
no.
so, can I get a motion to adopt this?
Yeah, I'll move we adopt the community center contract.
I'll second that.
Discussion?
If you want to have alcohol, this says nothing about alcohol. So if you allow someone to have alcohol, should they have, sometimes they can get their own insurance, or, if you have a wedding or something, they sometimes get insurance. Or do you just are we just going to go with the hold harmless clause to cover that?
Well, yeah, I think we agreed that if it's catered, that the caterers
Okay.
have their bond and
Right.
insurance.
Right,
And,
okay.
and if it was private, then this hold harmless covered us
Great.
there.
Good, okay.
And
Excellent.
it's all on one page as requested.
Right.
So on the page of the contract, is there a signature line and contact information for the person? Or will that be added?
There isn't.
No, there isn't on this document.
But there is on the contract?
Well, I guess that's up to the board. A couple of weeks ago, I not only had this one-page document, which more or less was coveted here, and a longer facilities use, which is more formal, two to 3 pages, and it has all of that. And it has check boxes for we will use alcohol, we're not using alcohol, et cetera, et cetera. And so it was very clear to me that they wanted the expediency of a single-page document, at least for this organization. But there could be the acceptance of either of the other 2 documents, which are both ready to go. They're not here tonight for discussion, but a couple of meetings ago, they were put out there. They have all of what you're talking about.
Because even with this one, which is a very good one, I think, to meet your needs, you could even just raise it up on the page and do a signature line, and contact information. And it should all fit on one page too.
I think if we lost the sincerely, because that looks like that's Gene Mommy signing that.
Right.
Lose the sincerely and just have a signature line, just
Right.
signed by, and a phone number or something. So I would move with that change to the signature line that we adopt the Dummerston Community Center contract for use as Bill prepared.
Anybody want to second that?
I'll second it.
Okay, now we got 2 motions on the floor. Was that a friendly amendment, Tom?
Oh, I'm sorry, did I space that out? Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, I'm sorry. Well then, yeah, that's what I meant. The friendly amendment.
Tom was amending it, right?
And does the person accept the friendly amendment?
Yes.
The motion, okay. Any more discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, thank you, Gene. And Gene, just one other thing really quick. I do think we should set up a time to walk around the building and stuff like that, just to look at different things that we need to do with it. So maybe I can get with you sometime and we'll schedule something. for a
That would be
meeting.
fine.
Okay.
That would be very good. Yeah. Inside and outside.
Right. And what nights do you folks usually meet? You said you were having a meeting next week, the committee?
It's the first Monday of the month.
It would have to be in the evening, right?
Right.
And calendars in the back room.
But your trustees meet the first Monday of the month, right?
Oh, yeah, that's what I was thinking. When do the trustees meet? First Monday of the month?
Okay.
Yeah, so I'll,
Monday evening, we have our meeting, but other than that, I'm available.
okay,
Yeah.
yeah, I'll get with you and we'll discuss it.
Okay, that'd be fine.
Great, thank you. Okay, moving on. Michelle, how you doing? You've got,
Good, Louis. How are you?
good. You've got a report for us?
I'm glad to be here.
Again.
Yes, again. I usually do a recap for my own purposes so that I understand how many meetings I've been to and what they consisted of. And I actually went back and kind of recapped all the years that I've been fortunate enough to rep for the town. And 2007 was the last of what I call the Ron Wright years, because there were only 8 events in that year. Then, of course, as you know, when the market fell apart, 2008, we got up to 13 events. And ever since then, 2009 was 23, 2010 was 22, 2011 finished out at 26 different kind of events, and that is the Board of Supervisors met 12 times, the Executive Board, and I was participating as a visitor and not sitting on that board, was 7 times. Household Hazardous Waste, you know, the board had said, oh, let's have all of our representatives, you know, give some volunteer time, so I did that last year in November. And then for just administrative items, there were 3, and committees, I think I wrote in just 1 at a time, and then I had 1 visit to you folks. So that, in summary, is really what's been happening. To flesh that out a little, last year was rather a banner year for the waste district. The longtime executive director gave his resignation. He had been there about 15 years, and he only was there 2 to 3 days a week. He decided he wanted to be back in the actual landfill business, so that's what he went and did. So, of course, that put us for quite some time in a position of looking for a new executive director, hence all the executive board meetings. And there was fair consideration given to a number of good candidates. One flew in from, the Midwest, and regrettably I missed his meeting, but in the end it was Bob Spencer who was selected, who is from the town of Vernon and did once sit as a rep for the town of Vernon. So he's been in related industry now for quite some long time as a consultant. So this was rather a cut and pay for him, but he has agreed that he will continue in the same vein that George Murray did, which is 2 to 3 days a week that are guaranteed. So Bob's in place now, and in the meantime, the operations manager, who had been there since the beginning, tendered his resignation. I think it was over Thanksgiving weekend. So we've gotten past that now. He has been gone ever since then. And in fact, because he was the person who hired folks to work there at the district, it had gotten to be somewhat paternalistic. He had hired a couple of his own kids. Not that that was a bad thing, they were good workers, but the policy committee worked very hard to make sure there were policies in place so that there wouldn't be a lot of, friends and relatives hiring. And that's really what started the chain of events with Joe Kowalski giving in his resignation. I believe that both his sons are still employees, although one was scheduled to leave to go back to school. And they're still good employees. So the assistant operations manager, Phil Baker, is now basically running the operations part, and he does an excellent job. We also have a project and education coordinator position, which Cindy Sterling Clark had filled for 10 years, and her pay at that time was through grants. And last year, of course, was that 11th time when the grant didn't come through, so she was an employee. And she also tendered her resignation and has left the district as of the end of March. And there's been a great deal of consideration given to whether or not that should be a position that's replaced or some reassignment to potentially other folks, or how best to define it. So those are some of the rather dry and administrative parts of what's going on in the district. Oh wait, maybe Lester can, make it sound a little more exciting than it really is. At this time, our district faces what most districts face. It's not a lack of volunteers, that we know. It's just whether or not the way to handle our waste, and our recycling waste particularly, is in a dual stream environment where it gets handled there, or if it moves into a single stream environment, which can be done. It just means that then all the equipment would move out of that facility and we would become a transfer station in effect, that waste district. And clearly that's an enormous change. So there's been a lot of talk for at least 3 years. There continues to be a lot of talk. There are people knocking at the door saying, we really want your business. Casella is one of them because they've just opened a single stream facility in Rutland, and a group of us did attend an open house there that they gave just for us to go and see what it was like. And again, no decisions have been made about whether or not that's a good thing. I think everybody has probably their own personal opinion. The numbers still work out in favor of keeping that facility as a dual stream. It's still the best deal for the taxpayers that are supporting the district. What else can I tell you?
Is that based on a higher return for the recyclable material?
That's been on the average for the last 2 or 3 years. The Finance Committee quite routinely does the numbers to see how would we do if we went, out to single stream, because we do have options and we would never just choose the one that came knocking at our door. Springfield, Mass just opened a single stream facility that we hope to go see. And there's some others available out in New Hampshire on the coast. So, no, not necessarily, although they have held quite steady, for which everyone is grateful. We have learned, and I think we already knew, that the output from a dual stream recycling facility is almost always superior to a single stream. It's just a better product, and that's what the folks who run the plant tell us, that's what they say, the buyers who buy the product tell us, and we saw with our own eyes what the single stream output looked like when we were in Rutland last week, and it was nothing like I had ever seen. There's a considerable amount of other things in each of those big bundles. So it's not all that clean. I can't really say what direction all these towns are likely to want to lean in. I know that there is no compelling need at this time, and there is no financial requirement at this time to change the operation. But looking forward, there are still the same considerations that there were the last time we talked. Old facility, needs more people. It has routine expenses for people. May not be the favorite these days because everyone wants single stream. Consumers want to never think about it. They want to just throw it in one thing. But given the fact that Brattleboro is going to attempt to do a little test case of compost collection for their commercial compost, and our executive director, Bob Spencer, is quite interested in potentially having some composting done right there on site. And so the district has that under consideration too. It would certainly be a value added. And it wouldn't have to go as it does now, down to Greenfield to Martin Farm. What if I missed those two?
I don't know, I come late, so.
Back when, I think you first got on as the rep, and when Zeke was also going to meetings, there was a lot of concern over their aging equipment and the fact that they had no capital plan for replacement. Has that been, that's been fixed?
There's a capital.
There is a capital.
It's there. It's being followed quite closely. And, yeah, the containers were the biggest issue at the time, and they truly weren't safe. That is in a replacement cycle right now. And it's working quite well, except unless you have fires and you live in Guilford.
Last year we replaced quite a few.
It did,
Yeah.
quite a few. And so
We're going to be continuing to replace them.
there's a schedule.
Yeah.
They're numbered. There's a real inventory.
So you've gotten a lot done since you've been there.
Indeed. It's a different board. It's a different group of employees. It's, yeah.
You still haven't
I
found
think the.
You like it? Good.
I love
Appreciate you doing it.
I love it.
It's a dirty business, as they say.
Yeah, it is a dirty business, and I'm glad to have a
So far,
experienced sidekick.
what I've seen of Bob Spencer, which is our new manager down there, he seems like he's pretty running tight ship. It's good to see.
Yeah.
And right now they're also trying to figure out what to do with Cindy Sterling, program coordinator that was doing a lot of things. She's no longer with the district, and so now we have an adjustment period, how and what we're going to do if we are going to replace her or not, stuff like that. That's being investigated now. So, yeah, it sounds like most everything else is taken care of.
I couldn't find a date when you actually started being alternate to Ron. Do you remember?
I was alternate about the, I didn't go to any meetings for the first 4 or 5 years because we had, I can't remember that.
Yeah, Ron Wright.
Ron Wright was there, and he was taking care of all the financial stuff, and he was on top of everything, and I was on the board, select board, so I said, well, no sense me going out, he's doing it. Busy with everything else, so that's when I became an alternate. So, since then, had a little more time on my hands, so I've been on the meeting now, so.
Well, thank you guys very much.
Is the budget available on their website? You know?
As far as I know, I honestly
Okay.
haven't looked recently. Sometimes I would go out and look because I was reporting things that I wish we would change. More as, you know, a proofreader's eyes would see. But yes, it should be out there, and if it's not, I can talk to Kristen.
Okay.
So
Sure.
I can even look and get back to you. How's that?
Okay, right, I can check, I could call Kristen and ask her a copy.
Sure.
Okay.
So, it goes,
Okay,
average, normal,
there you go.
and I'm still enjoying it, yes.
Good. Thanks, Joe. Thanks, Leslie.
Yeah, thanks for
Thank
being
you.
here.
Great. How about, do you have extra time? We're looking for someone on a DRB.
I regret. It's not possible at this time.
Okay, there's another dirty business.
No doubt about it.
All right, well, moving on. Anybody out there have anything? Recognition of visitors? Anybody want to bring up anything? No? Okay, Lee, you want to come on up? Yeah, no, why don't you come on up so I can see you. I want to make sure I can see you, see what you're trying to get away with back there.
Louis forgot his card, so you're on it.
We want to open the bids first, seeing how we have
Yes.
some
Yes.
people out there. For the,
This is for East West Road. Around 7/10 of a mile.
What section, Lee, are you doing? What area?
Right from about Green Mountain Camp Road up 7/10 of a mile. It should make it just between Black Mountain Road and then the culvert we put in.
Oh,
So,
all right.
right in there.
Okay, so, let's go to Wayne first here. The grand total estimate is $84,583.50.
Price per ton.
Oh, yeah, 70.
7905. Okay, and this is Springfield. Is 70, price per ton in place is 74.65. Yes, that's what we come up with. So,
And do they have the same thickness?
that was, yeah, that was your,
You have working experience with either or both of these companies?
Right, I was willing to do whoever person, whichever company was lowest, we'd go with.
You're satisfied? with
Yes,
that?
yes, both companies are good companies.
Okay.
So that's my suggestion.
Is there a total amount to Springfield bid?
I do not,
Yes, it's not to exceed 85,000. We'd like to save around $1,000 for or patching or whatever throughout the year. But choosing about
let's see what it says, a total price.
Well, it's the same tonnage, it's bound to be,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
So, are we ready to award, and then can we
Yes.
adopt? Well, I would move we award it to the lower bidder, which is Springfield.
Second?
Discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you guys for coming.
Okay.
Okay.
Good luck.
Yeah, thank you. Here. Yes, it usually works out that Lane is a little less on the side of the river and Springfield's a little less on the other side of the river. I don't- Yeah, they did West Street, they did 2 years in a row on this side,
That makes
and then
sense.
Springfield's had the rest of the town.
They did a real good job on West Street too, right, Lane?
Yeah. Great entryways into the driveway.
Hey, do you want to do the awarding of the bid for the backhoe? Do you want to
Yep.
discuss that at all?
That's fine, that's fine, we can discuss it. Steve, Matt, Art, and I up to Nortrax, that's the John Deere dealership up in Springfield, Vermont. We looked at a 410 K, and the three of us decided, and the other two at the shop, decided that that would be the best backhoe for what we're going to be doing. It is a little heavier duty, a little longer reach. It's got a better parking brake system on it. The actual boom lock for traveling down the road is, we feel is better. Stabilizers, it's made in the United States. Did you ever check?
I did, actually. I left there and I went right up to the Caterpillar dealer in Milton. And
Yeah.
they couldn't tell me if it was Mexico or Brazil.
Okay, so.
Apparently they come out of either, I'm not sure. but
Yep.
I tried to get to meet with their salesman and look at 420 over as a comparison, and they only had a 430 to look at, and salesman wasn't available.
We did have it for a budget price, 80,000. I talked with the dealer and he came in at 81. He said he'd bring that down, so that was the new proposal that I had in the box. $79,995 for it. He came down. But
So, I mean, the difference with $10,000 and $15,000 to the other machines now, is there some value there? I mean, I understand
Yes.
safety and ruggedness, but are you going to get a little more life out of it? Or,
yes, and that's the Caterpillar. When we bought that, of course Wayne bought it originally, or select board, but you know, the plan was in the capital plan was 15 years for the backhoe loader and grader, and we ended up going a couple of years early just because I didn't feel it was holding up, and with our repair budget not very high, figured we better get rid of it before it does end up. So to me it was between John Deere, you know, and the John Deere, they had the 3 machines. This 410 is the larger of the 3, heavier duty. The longer reach will be helpful. We use a lot of those waste blocks now. We can get them fairly cheap through Carroll Concrete, and we can, of course, reuse them after we do a temporary fix on something. And this machine will be able to handle them a lot better.
John Deere had, what, the 5-year warranty was included.
Included.
The block heater was included, it had
Yeah.
glow plugs.
Yeah.
The stabilizers are a big thing for Lee's safety or Art's safety. They're a lot longer stabilizer arms. Lee's got the whole list. Anyway.
Yeah, counterweight on the front.
Counterweight's a big deal.
I didn't think it was much, you know, between the 2 companies. No matter what, the John Deere is really what I think we should stick with. It was just a matter of between the upper 2 sizes and the John Deere. And with a little longer reach. It has a 1.5 yard front bucket where we load our sand on the west side, where the smaller one is a 1.25 yard bucket. So it'll make loading sand nicer during the winter. A little extra height dumping into the trucks. And it was, you know, under budget. It sure looked like, I think it's going to be a very good machine. Putney has one, Townsend.
and the service and all that, you're happy with what that
Yes.
looks like?
Yeah, and I like the 40 minutes up the road. You can get to the company. Where
The other thing too, if it broke down, there's any number of guys right here in Dummerston or Putney that could run the machine up there for you, where it cost us like $600 to get our machine up to Milton or up to, and the parts being 40
I
minutes
do
away.
believe it is the best machine out there for the budget purpose.
Sounds too good to be true. Everything's good.
The competitors, oh, I'm sorry. Yeah.
Go ahead, Mark.
Does that price include the trade-in?
Yes, it does.
I actually talked with another competitor, another producer of backhoes, a salesman, and he said that he doesn't even quote town backhoes because the John Deere backhoe is so far superior in the amount of steel in it, the weight of it, the extra horsepower that he said any town should buy a John Deere, which I thought was kind of interesting coming from a competitive salesman.
Yeah.
It's quite a machine.
Well,
They
I
did a
would,
good job, I thought too. They spent a lot of time with you and Art going over the
Oh,
machine.
yeah. Yeah, he definitely spent the time.
Well, I move we buy John Deere 410.
I'll second that.
Discussion?
No, thanks for your time on that, Steve.
All
Yes.
All in favor?
Aye.
Boy, we're spending money tonight.
Price of
Bring us
flags.
160,000.
Up in Nortrax, maybe they'll get us flags. The one thing about the backhoe also was he just needed you to authorize me or somebody on the select board to sign the, what's it, purchase? Yeah. So then he would order it. It would come in 5 weeks, and then we'd pay for it July 1st. And they didn't have a problem with that. So.
Everyone make a motion for Lee to sign the purchase and sale agreement?
I'll move that we authorize Lee to sign the agreement.
Second.
Discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
These structures, I did our yearly inspection inventory of them. And those are the ones over 3 feet. 42 of them in town, and 43. And I did find, I did change them up, the numbers on them. I don't know if you happen to look at them, but Dutton Farm Road was number 5 on the list, and the outlet, it's the abutments kind of eroding, and we're going to have to do some work on that. And the structure itself isn't very good. It's a laid up stone. And
Is that the one by the farmhouse?
No, this is actually right off from Middle Road, right in that sag.
Oh, yeah.
As you can see, I had it for a kind of a guesstimate, was $175,000 to fix it. And that would be structures money. That's the max that they'll allow us to have. I am working with, just started working with A.S. Clark, trying to come up with a plan that the town can do a lot of the work. They help us out, just like how we did Sticky Brook, pretty much. It can't be a metal arch. I think it's going to have to be a concrete arch, 8 foot wide, or a box culvert. But we still have to meet with, I think it's Todd Manise from Stream Mountain Drainage, just to make sure. Still really in the starting phases of the whole thing. But we are hoping to apply for the structures grant once we get all the information. We wouldn't be asking for the money for our 10% until next town meeting. Even if we got it, the structures grant, just say in October, we wouldn't actually plan on doing the project until next dry period, July, August next year. I don't think we're going to get the money this round, but
How often? About every 2-3 years,
Yeah.
is it like that?
yeah. And we are kind of late in applying this year, so
How critical is it?
I think we're going to end up having to do a few waste blocks on the outlet abutment just to hold it over. Other than that, I think if we can stabilize that, it'll be fine for a couple of years. It's just looking at them all, or like the top 4 worst projects. I just felt it moved to the top, and after meeting with Wynn and Archie Clark there, they agreed it's time. I don't know if I finished what I was saying, but it's a laid up stone. You look down in it, there's big caverns that go off to the side. It looks like it's got some cement pipe in there. And like Archie said, he wouldn't send his worst enemy in there. The problem is there's 15 to 20 feet of fill over it. And it's going to be a big cut in the road to get down to it. We're projecting a month having the road closed when we go ahead and do it. But should have more update on that. We did have our MSHA inspection. It's pretty much when we open the pit, they show up. Everything went good, all our paperwork, all the workers were doing everything right in the gravel pit, so we made it through without any fines. I did ask him on Bernard's gravel pit, what we have to do, different procedures when we do end up getting in there. Doesn't sound terrible as far as the MSHA. And once we get close, he said give a call, and we probably will send somebody down to actually help us out with the whole thing. We're replacing culverts. You probably saw a couple on Mill Road, 3 on Bunker Road. Putney's doing screening their sand, so we've been helping them haul it up to their shop. Pretty much we're going to be doing our sand and
Anybody got anything for Lee?
I just, I told Lee on the phone, but I'd like others to hear it. Louis and I were up at one of the select board conferences on Saturday, and we sat in on David Antone, who's the Vermont Rural Roads Director. He was giving a workshop to all these select board members, most of them new members, telling them what kind of services they provide and all that. And he says, as an example, we'll, on request, go down and inspect the town's roads to give them a report. And he says, I recently did that for the town of Dummerston, and they were doing such a good job. We went back and took pictures of their roads as an example of best practices. So we're very proud of that. So I just wanted to say that right out loud in public and on TV.
I did notice though on Kipling Road, when they graded that, and it looks like they actually didn't go all the way out either, so they kept it a little bit narrower.
Yeah.
It looks
Maybe
like
not really on purpose, but as far as, the water was still running off. That's
Yeah.
the main thing. No double ditches.
Yeah, looked like you
And
pulled
I'll
it
be
up.
happy.
You guys pulled it up pretty good.
Yep.
I had a phone call on it, and I went over and looked at it Saturday, went back, looked Sunday. And had George, he worked for the state for a long time, had him look at it Monday, and we all thought the drainage in it looked really good, and it was clear that you stayed in from what the previous time was.
Yeah.
But from the drainage aspect, it looked good, I thought.
Yeah, I don't think anything failed on it during a rainstorm, so. Les did that, so.
Well, that's what we
Give
do.
you credit. Yeah. But I do it literally in
Yeah,
yeah. I live on that road, and I like the job.
Well, thanks, Lee.
Thank you.
Okay, covered bridge wind wall update, anything?
Yeah, I don't know if the schedule made it in the packet I sent. It did. It's all good news. We today got approval to go ahead with the RFPs. I CC'd Zeke with all this. So the bids are going to go out Monday, maybe Friday. The RFPs, I should say. They're going to schedule a pre-bid meeting on May 22nd at the site so that bidders can come and look the job over. And a couple of us will be there. I plan to be there. So you could
Yes,
plan on
I'll be
that.
there.
We'll open bids at our meeting on May 31st. This is when, at 7 p.m. is when we're going to put the bid deadline at, so that people can, Rudd explained that contractors are used sometimes to just walking right into the meeting with their bid in hand. So the deadline for accepting bids is the beginning of our meeting on May 31st. That then will take a week to sort those out. We'll award it on 6 if it looks like we need to hold a special meeting to do that. If we're feeling more relaxed about the schedule and what the contractors have to say, we may be able to wait until our regular meeting on the following week. They're hoping to start construction July 6th and be done by the middle of August. So that's good news for the school buses. Everything else looks good. I mean, the thing just suddenly, all those problems fell in place. That extra inspection thing, it's not going to be as strident as they had described. There's still going to be extra inspection. It's going to cost a little more than what had been anticipated, but it's going to fall within our budget parameters, and so we're in good shape.
So will Stevens and Associates be sending out the RFPs?
Yes, they're doing all of that.
Renault gravel pit update?
I met today with the engineer and Putney and the SB Lands people and Mike were all there. And Mike Renaud and SB Lands have worked out their arrangement. They have an agreement now to combine their operations, which is very favorable to all parties. And what it does is essentially, Claudia, I know that you'll be interested in, these are some details we'll go over at the neighborhood meeting next week, but we'll be working north of the boundary line for probably 5 to 8 years before it even comes into Renault's property. There's somewhere between 200,000 and 400,000 yards of gravel up there before we would begin approaching in from the Renault pit. I'm going to skip over this one item. The archaeological report, our second opinion from another archaeologist. They looked at the samples and they have taken exception to them. And even though the engineer explained that, this is your work. If you fight this and deny this, there won't be a second phase. He said, we understand that, but we also believe in good archaeology. So they are going to argue that the phase 2 work is not required. However, it all rests in the hands of Scott Dillon at the state, regardless. So until we hear from him, we don't know. But this archaeologist doesn't believe that the phase 2 would be warranted based on what he's seen of the samples. So the site plan, we will have a new site plan. They're going to release it tomorrow, Claudia. I was hoping we could have it today. It's not much different from the first one we did. They're showing the stockpile, the stockpiles moved behind the cover. Other than that, it's the same detail as this one we've had for some time, which we were calling the phase 1 pit, which is now just the pit.
So is phase 2 eliminated?
There is no phase 2 with this. And there will be a far more detailed, he doesn't have it ready yet, a far more detailed drawing of the actual excavation and how it's going to be combined with the SB lands on that northern border at the main meeting. MSHA permitting, Lee and I talked about that. That's not going to be a problem. I was a little worried about sharing that pit with Zaluzny and SB Lands, whose MSHA ticket that ends up on. But apparently there's new rules about that where the permit kind of goes with the machine. So it's like whoever's got the pressure has got responsibility for the thing. So that's going to work out. One issue, which might be a high-class problem for us to have, and I ran this by Lee. There's a concern because SB Lands would like to have us out of that, have our operation off of their land in 5 to 8 years, so that they can reclaim that and develop it. We're not going to use gravel fast enough at our current rates to do that. And so there's some, we're allowed, 30,000 a year. SB Lands has allowed 25,000 a year, and that 55,000 a year is not going to get us out of there in time. That would get us out of there if we did all that. But what we're currently using is the two towns right now are using about 5,000 a year apiece.
Yeah, like 40.
So it's like 10,000 a year. Mike said he didn't even use 15 last year. So we're well under what we could be taking. And one idea is, if you also recall, our lease with Mike gives us 5 years of a more generous royalty rate on the gravel. That for that first 5 years, if we were to do an accelerated gravel program, all our roads need toppings in various places. We're supposed to be putting 2 to 3 inches of gravel on our roads every 4 to 5 years, and you do that in trouble spots, but not always. And I think it's what's contributing to this widening of the roads, if you will, because the lower they get, the wider they have to go to keep the drainage area clear. And so I would propose that when it comes budget time, that we think about implementing a 5-year sort of accelerated effort to put more gravel on our roads and basically accelerate our gravel buying and spreading, get our roads back up to where they can be, where you think they need it most, and we'll get it at the best rate we're ever going to be able to do it.
I definitely think the roads can use more gravel. I think, like I was telling Tom, it's just I think the cell is gonna be at the town meeting where, you know, if you're spending 13,000 on the gravel and then another 15,000 to crush it right now, and then you wanna add half that again, you know, it's gonna bring it up another 13,000, $14,000.
There's definitely be a.
So it will be quite a jump in the budget as far as from what we're doing, but to be able to, the alternative to get off from, or to get through S&D's land in time would be having to sell it to somebody other than the towns or Mike, right?
Well, that would be the alternative. Mike, we can't sell, but Mike,
Right.
Mike could then sell up to, you know, the 50, or excuse me, the 30 that were allowed under the Act 250, which is in the long run less gravel for the town.
Right.
So I think this is where we talked about this at town meeting a little bit, where we've kept such tight budgets and actually gone rolled backwards in the gravel department for some time now, and I think it's come to bear. Our roads need gravel, and I think that maybe we didn't do ourselves a favor by cutting right there, because now you're right, we're gonna have to probably take a big jump in our road budget to catch up with what we could have been doing all along. But it seems like that big gravel number's always been a target at budget time. That, well, maybe we can do $2,000 less or $1,000 less, and we've been doing that for years. So just something for us to keep thinking about between now and budget time.
Just a question, did they, Mike and the towns, the agreement with S&B, I don't know if we're supposed to go into the agreement, but the agreement is that we have exclusive rights to that south boundary gravel, or does Tim or S&B, can they get some of that gravel out of there also?
Yeah, it's a little, their agreement kind of covers it. It's more about quantities of gravel rather than where it is.
Yeah.
Like we know we have our quantity is guaranteed with Mike, so we're good. What they're going to do is a topographical survey of it as it exists and do an estimate of how much gravel is on the north side of the line.
Yep.
And then say that's 200,000 yards. So that's what belongs to SB lands.
Yep.
So once they get 200,000 yards, they're done. And everything else belongs to Mike. Because the way it will mine is we're going to be leaving a berm there, but they can't just like mine up to the line. It's going to have to go. Right. So they'll be over the boundary while they're still taking some of that gravel. You see what I'm saying? The top of the dig will be past the line while the bottom is still below it. Anything else? Let me just make sure. The main item, Claudia, do you have any questions about that? I think that we'll have all the details. The noise study is in process right now. It should be completed by then, and we hope to have the guy there. Hal Wilkins is conducting the study. We hope to have him actually at the meeting to give the results and answer any questions that we might have. That's it. Okay. Any questions?
I'm not sure, and I'll have to check, that I got any notice of the meeting today, Tom, at all, so.
I was CCing you with all of those emails.
Okay, huh.
It was sent,
Yeah, because I saw, that's what I told you earlier, I saw your name, when I got the emails, I saw your name along
About the
with
May 9th, that was forwarded, but
Oh,
I'll go
okay.
check then.
Yeah.
I just want to make sure that I get.
no, I was clear to do it. I was surprised that you weren't there
Yeah,
because
I
I
would
thought
have
this
been,
was a
yeah.
better time of day for you. So.
No, I would have been there. I'll check.
Yeah, I was putting you on all the returns, and I don't. Corey doesn't always,
Right.
but I make sure when I reply that I put you on it.
Anything else on the pit? Okay. Moving right along, correspondence for information. Anybody have anything out there to discuss, talk about? Okay. Nothing?
copy of that letter from Mr. Tansey?
Yes.
Can you just give us synopsis or 2 sentences what his letter was about?
It was the same, it was pretty much the same letter that he sent the last time, saying that, you know, he was bringing up the fact that the roads still haven't been fixed from what they were, and that we are supposed to be held, we took an oath of office. And
Gotcha. And was Kelly's essentially the same thing?
no, Kelly's is, it's sort of funny to me. We get a letter from Mr. Tansey telling us, you know, you're supposed to be doing this because this is what the town plan says. You know, making the town plan like it's law, it's a guideline. And then in the very next letter we get from Kelly, they're asking us to forget about the zoning bylaws. So it's, you know, you ask for one thing, but then you want to do the next. So, yeah, hers was about the weddings at the farm.
And I just want to say too that letter, the points he made about the condition of the road were exactly the points he made in the November letter he had sent, which I answered point by point in a return email, which he's disregarded. He has not accepted our responses to the answers to his questions, and I don't know what more we can do.
And I've asked Mr. Tansey if he writes a letter to please come to the board, so we're not talking about
Like this?
right, about his letter without him here to talk with us about it. So, I mean, I've asked him, and, you know, we sent him a reply saying that we've received his letter, and that's all.
Thank you.
All right. Now, correspondence for action.
Actually, I had one more thing for information, and it wasn't on here, but the email about Tier's curb cut
Yes.
that we got questioned.
what was that?
I actually checked with Denny, and they have a right of way, and it really was a misunderstanding. Denny and Bev were going to the town to make sure Lee didn't have any issue with where the curb cut was going to be. Then they were going to visit with the neighbor whose property they had to go across. And unfortunately, the information got to her before they were able to go and talk to her about it. And they were trying to find a less intrusive way to cross her property than to go across her back lawn, as Denny told me. So she would welcome somebody from the select board to call her if we don't accept Denny's information, but it's a non-issue. She just got some misinformation from our meeting, from somebody who was at the meeting.
Yeah, Louis and I talked, and I did call her.
Oh, you did? Oh,
Yeah,
and
just to make sure
Yeah.
that everything was all set.
Yeah, she did right.
And, yeah, she seemed fine.
Yeah.
You know, I did mention, we came up with, maybe having to post the curb cuts for like a building permit, right? That was
You
one of the
talked about
ideas.
it, yeah.
It was just an idea we were floating around, trying to figure out, you know, the best way to notify people and.
I think everything was done with the best intention.
Right, exactly. There was nothing.
Just something about a sequence.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks, Steve, for following up on that.
Yep.
There was a letter in the packet, but it wasn't on the agenda, so I don't know if we can discuss it, but it was about the learning collaborative, the town's attorney.
No, that's not, that's a legal matter.
That's a legal matter. Okay, so that's why it's not on the agenda. Very good. Thank you.
Correspondence for action. We've got a, Lee, were we gonna put this out to bid, the roadside mowing? or-
As far as the budget figure, that is the budget figure that I came with. I had asked him last November for a price. It's I believe it's $200 more, right? Isn't it 6,000?
Yeah, 6,000.
Yes. And the last time we put it out to bid, it's not even close.
Right.
There was only 2 people who applied, and the other one was 11,000, somewhere in there.
This is a really good price.
Yeah, exactly.
Because I know we bid it one time a few years ago.
Right.
Then this is a good price. There is one other person, just for information, that would like to bid it. And I don't know if we have to do that or not, but there is one person who I think talked to Zeke and I both that
Okay.
had interest in bidding it.
I kind of gave him the verbal
Okay.
commitment. I told him, if, usually if they come in with a good price, that we just continue as long as we, liked his job and he was doing a good job.
He did do a good job, I thought.
But I can definitely tell him for next year, if this other person wants to bid it and you believe they'll do a good job, and
I'm just saying he wants to bid it, that's all I'm saying.
yeah, because it is very sticky situation as far as, because if they don't do a good job,
Right.
it really hurts.
Yeah.
It's a really important job, mostly if you have to cut the brush and drag it to a chipper.
Yeah. So are you looking for a motion to approve this tonight?
Yeah, and Lori said there's something about the payment plan in there maybe, where that's changed. You might want a third up front, is that
We
right?
wanted $1,000.
$1,000 up front. Last year after he did a third of the town or so, we gave him, he needed some money, so we gave him, some of the,
He actually wants 1,500.
Yeah.
Is it 1,500?
Yeah, he wants 1,500.
so I guess that's it. And I did explain to him that we usually don't do that, but I'm sure if they didn't want something up front after you got done with a third or a quarter of the town, quarter of the money, that type of thing. It's his first mowing of the year. That's pretty much what it is, and no income until this point, just to get him going.
This is his first mowing, so hopefully.
As far as town. Then he goes from town to town to town, because he's starting the last week of June, first week of July.
At least we don't
So-
sharp.
Mark your flowers.
Yeah, I'll move we accept the, for discussion anyway, I'll move we accept his estimate.
Okay, get a second on that?
I'll second.
All right, discussion? Yes, yeah.
I just have a question. Does the town have a policy of at what level do you require bids? At 5,000 or 10,000 before you award a contract?
I don't think we have a set rule. We can do it or not when it's just our money. We're not accepting state and federal money. I would say with some of these people we've had experience with, we just stay with a good horse when we got one.
That's really important to stay with somebody that we know will do a good job.
How do you think it will be if we award this tonight with the person that might?
Well, I think if we've already made a commitment, I think we've generally made a commitment to him.
Well, and this bid's also public information. Now it's
Right,
kind of
yeah.
unfair to him to
Right, yeah.
a lot more bids at this point.
I would explain that it's been handled this year and
A little late.
We'll put the bid out next year.
Okay.
I thought this guy did an excellent job last year, and he mows with a flail mower, which is much better than a cutter bar, and chop stuff up.
Any more discussion?
Right, I didn't have to go back to the, that one residence with my side.
Do we want to consider this advance at all, or is that something we can do, want to do?
I mean, we still have money in the contract services for it. We have $1,800 in contract services, so we could if we chose, or Lee could say something different.
I don't want to use that one. No, I think he means, doesn't he mean just before he gets here?
Right.
When he shows up.
Right.
Yeah. At the start of the mowing. Yeah.
He's in June.
It's still before.
Specific things, like for gas and oil.
Yeah.
It's just
It's
before.
probably part of the reason why he can come in with such a low bid, because
I would like to see it then say July 1st, that you would give him the,
The start of the new budget.
so it'll come out of next year's budget, because that's where the money's.
Right, that's what's
coming out.
I asked.
And we do have that project.
That was my concern.
Well, I could amend my motion to say that the deposit comes out July 1st.
accept that? Tom?
Yeah, I would, yes.
Okay.
Well, it was actually Steve's motion.
Right, he did the amendment to it and wanted it. All right, any, second and half?
I'm awake.
Get with it, Tom. All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. And then the long-range management plan for Dutton Pine State Park.
I didn't see where they wanted us to do anything, or
I didn't either.
there wasn't any time.
I'm glad somebody else did, because I sat there and read it.
They forgot to put the second page in the envelope, I guess.
Right. Well, I guess that they, can I see that? They just sort of intimated exactly what they told us casually before.
Yeah, a year ago, or
Which was the Parks Division would prefer to transfer ownership in a way that maintains the parcel for public use but doesn't require management or Parks Division time or funds. So they want to get rid of it. That's what they just said before.
yeah.
And that notwithstanding, they recognize that those are valuable buildings and that they might be able to be moved to some better purpose, if not there, which was what everyone was afraid of. So I don't know. I mean, they're not directly asking us for anything. I guess it kind of goes back to, wish Ruth was here. This was why she joined the rec board, right? Was to see if the town had any interest in that, and how we would go about it.
Yeah, should we invite him to a meeting
Yeah.
to give us his idea when this might happen and how, and just give us a little more
Who is he?
details?
Who is this guy? This isn't the same guy who did it with the learning collaborative. Otherwise, I'd say it.
Just keep that to yourself.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I think we should, Zeke, actually we'll look into who we should call and have come down here. And
Yeah, okay. Do you need a motion for that?
That was a motion, wasn't it? Zeke?
Oh, yeah, I guess it was.
I'll second that.
Okay. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Lori, could you send a copy of that to the Conservation Commission? Sure. And the Rec Committee and the Historical Society, because I think there's a number of people. I know people have not
Well, I
gotten
think the
together.
planning commission too.
Yeah, because I know people haven't gotten
Send it
together,
to-
but there is interest.
Cemetery committee too. I think that's the only one we'd be leaving out.
Well, they're looking for
New, some new ground.
eternal rest in the
Might not
pines.
work with the water wells.
Unfinished business, moving right
Forest
along.
lawn right here.
Special events ordinances.
I've done nothing on that.
Anybody else?
Thank you, Lori, for
Kick that can down the road.
researching that and sending it around.
I don't have any thing to add. Lori summed it up pretty well, I guess. I don't have anything new on that. Wisdom that I can impart. The special events
Oh,
ordinance.
I know the planning commission last night talked about it for a while, and I think they put it on June maybe, that they're gonna try to look into it more. It's not something they're gonna do this month, I don't think.
All right, new business, set date for goals work session.
You know, I wonder if we set it for June 6th, which is that off Wednesday, that I was saying we might want a special meeting to award the wing wall
No?
bid. If we set it for that, we might be able to kill two birds with one stone. We can award the bids if it's time, and if not, we'll have our goals meeting or do both.
No? Yeah, we can do both.
Is that soon enough, June 6th?
Everybody, Steve, that work for you, June 6th?
Swedish Constitution Day.
Is it? I didn't know. I didn't know that.
Yeah,
Oh, here it is, right on the calendar. So we'll bring Ludacris to whatever it is.
That's the
No, that's Norwegian.
Yeah.
That's May 17th, I know that, Norwegian Independence Day.
Okay, so June 6th, what time, everybody, 6 o'clock?
6?
6.
Do it early? Okay.
Do a little earlier?
6 is all right with me.
666. Yeah, Laurie, we'd like you to be there too. All right. Any other new business? All right. Anybody?
Actually, I had one thing, not real serious, but I wanted to apologize to Gene and to Zeke, who showed up at the ceremony
I mean,
at 4:30, because originally, when it was proposed, it was for 4:30.
right,
It
right.
was in my notes as 4:30, and I remember Paul came to a meeting several weeks later and said, no, it's 4 o'clock, isn't it? And I didn't argue with him, so it went out publicly as 4 o'clock. So
Well, I got there, I was all dressed up, my tuxedo. You know, the
you were clean shaven, too.
There wasn't a drop of champagne left.
I also wanted to thank Tom, who did a splendid job, and Paul Norman, who did a nice job of his face.
Yes, and then it's on the town website. You can, for those of us who did arrive late, we could relive the event.
Yeah, that's right.
Over and over. It's going viral in Dummerston.
So is that all we have tonight, guys?
Do we need to go into executive session?
Yes, I do think we should.
Yeah. Okay.
Listen, I just want to ask a question. Steve, do you remember the date of the next planning commission meeting? It doesn't have to do with this. Do you remember? So I got down the 25th, and that's a Friday, and that doesn't seem right. It's a Wednesday, isn't it? The 23rd?
Here.
Yeah,
Right.
that's what they're hoping for. Has anybody got a direct sentiment? Okay. Just one.
I just had one question. About this time of year, do we usually print up a sheet on how we're doing the budget on all our expenses, or don't we? So we can,
Yes, I can get, I'll have one for next meeting.
just to see how we're doing the yearly end budget.
That's what Lori and I were going to do too, as far as, because this year with the FEMA, the structures grant, our Bunker Road project, there's a few odds and ends there.
Be nice to know a little bit ahead where we are.
Right,
Yeah.
so we don't overspend, or we can get the stuff we do need to get.
Yeah.
Like more chloride.
What's that?
So can I just clarify something as far as the accounting for the Renault gravel pit? It should be in the general fund for the opening costs, correct, and not under the highway fund?
Right, that's
Am I correct? Okay.
what we did.
Is it?
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
what you had said.
All right, good. Thank you.
Well, I guess we could throw it over to the highway.
Well, that's where-
Good thing I stayed for that.
Question, Louis?
Well, that's what the funds are going into, right? The general fund that we borrow for the no.
I just had one question regarding, you said that the new site plan was going to be released tomorrow,
Well, he said he's gonna send it to me tomorrow. It'll be electronic.
and so then you'll email it to
The
like
group.
Jeff Hunsaker and
Sure,
myself, and
sure, as soon as I get it. So if you don't see it tomorrow, it's only because I didn't get it. But I will send it along.
that's coming from
Corey,
Corey.
yeah.
Okay.
And also, I realized I didn't update the timing of the Act 250. They're hoping to be ready at the end of May to submit the application to Act 250 and the DRB, and that would put the hearings the second or third week of July. So.
But I'm not going to be at that May 9th meeting because I'm out of town, but you'll give all those dates again.
Oh, absolutely,
That
yeah.
meeting,
And,
okay.
and those are pretty loose. We have no control really over them once they get the applications, but that's sort of based on what they've seen, so.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Can I get a motion to go into executive session for legal matters?
I move, go into executive session and discuss the legal matter.
Second that.
Discussion, all those in favor?
Aye.